All right. You want to start us off? See how this goes?
Welcome to the Carpe and Zen Show. I'm Joseph Carpenter,
And I'm Jacob Lauritsen.
and together we are Carpe.
And Zen. So, I think based on what we've talked about recently, we have a couple of... okay, so we want to talk about some things we've seen, and some things we've read, and I think that's kind of where we're at.
Oh, you mean for today's episode? Sorry,
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah,
paying
for
attention.
today's episode. do you plan on paying attention? This is going to
All right,
be a
so
great
what's
conversation
first
by myself.
on the list for today?
Oh, man. Should we,
You want to tackle the controversy first?
which controversy? Mulan?
Sure. We'll tackle the Mulan controversy.
Let's talk about
first.
Mulan. So we're recording this on September 9th. On September 4th, Mulan, the live-action Mulan by Disney, was finally released. They had, back in March, they had already had the premiere. That's the right word for it. They'd already had the premiere for it, but they hadn't actually released it, and then COVID hit, and they just never released it. And they sat on it until they finally are like, well, okay, we're going to put it on Disney Plus, but you got to pay extra for it. So naturally, both of us did that, right?
Hey, who wouldn't?
I'm like, well, I mean, if it was in a theater, I would have paid more than that, right?
Well, I've said it before. I'm that kind of lazy, you know.
That kind of lazy?
Yeah. If they were to ever, and now
Just
I
take
don't,
my money. Just take it.
I don't want movie theaters to die. Okay, I want to make that perfectly clear. Movie theaters have always been a sanctuary for me.
Especially because our local theater is not its big chain.
Yeah. So they've always been a sanctuary for me. But I don't know if they started just releasing movies to the general public to download for a day or two, you know, for $25 as a new release. I'm probably going to stay home and watch it. I mean, unless it's something that I really need to get out there and see.
Mm-hmm.
I support movie theaters. All movie theaters.
So, in terms of supporting movie theater, all our movie theaters allowed to do right now in Arizona is sell popcorn.
Yeah.
So we
Which
went,
they do.
We bought popcorn. we did that. I drive up to it. There's someone waiting in the ticket office. I'm like, I want some popcorn.
Delicious
they're like,
buttery popcorn.
They're like, how many? It's $5. How much do you want? I was like, one. And they literally fill ice bags.
Yeah.
What are they? Probably like the 10-pound ice bags of popcorn.
Mhm.
And they're on like a string. And they're like, all right, you can go to that door over there. There's no extra taxes, 5 even. So I don't know. They're eating the tax, or I don't know.
Popcorn's cheap.
And then they, and then they just walked to the side door, handed it to me, holding the string out, and I grabbed it.
Excellent.
And then I waited about 30 minutes in the drive-thru for the soda place down around the corner because I don't know, they weren't nearly as fast.
Not
And then we
nearly as
watched.
efficient.
Yeah, and then we watched. We got through the first half, and then it was late, and we watched the second half of the movie the next day.
Took you 2 watchings. So what'd you think?
Now
This is important. Okay, this is a different business model for everybody right now. This is a $200 million movie.
$200 million movie
that they need to make their money back on. Otherwise, they can't
Yeah.
make expensive movies anymore, which is kind of okay by me. I won't lament terribly the loss of really expensive movies.
What's the first really expensive movie that you remember?
Terminator 2.
Talking Terminator 2, and how much was that? Was that over $100 million?
At the time, it was the most expensive movie ever made.
Mm-hmm.
But it was worth it.
James Cameron, he did 1 and 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. James Cameron, he spends money. He also makes money back. So.
Well, people go see James Cameron movies. He puts butts in seats.
Yeah.
You know, Tom Cruise, he puts butts in seats. Chadwick Boseman puts butts in seats. I guarantee that new movie says he's gonna.
Yeah. So, okay. So what did I think? I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's a number of different controversies. We'll address the actual movie, and then we could talk about the controversy around the movie. A lot of people just they're upset it wasn't a musical. And it's like, dude, they're like, their comments are like, it just doesn't have the same magic. You know what the first one didn't have? Magic. This one had magic, like literally magic. So I don't. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I think it was an updated story for, I mean, updated in that
Updated being one of the oldest stories ever told.
it's a super old story. But what I mean by updated is its emphasis on the female characters is definitely now. It's a representation of this moment in time. Because, you know, and I was pointing this out as I was talking to my family about the movie. It's a movie about men who rely on women to be successful at war. Both sides. And their success kind of depends on how much they embrace the women.
Mm-hmm.
And their chi.
And they're cheap.
And their chi. But, you know, it's I enjoyed it. It was a very beautiful movie to watch. It was fun. I
like that cinematographer,
yeah.
Mandy. I'm blanking on her last name.
I don't know.
She's amazing. I love the way she plays with colors.
I was pointing out, so like I enjoy watching these kinds of movies like Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel with my 11-year-old daughter, because she really responds to them. And when I start pointing out, it's like, you know, it's a female director, you know, 4 of the 5 writers on the movie are women. I was reading this. They couldn't figure out how to write this movie, so they kept replacing. It's like, this Hollywood. This is Hollywood. They wrote a version of the script and they hand it off to someone else and they hand it off to someone else. And that's how everything works, right? It's Hollywood. But I think it was fine. Like, I don't miss Mushu. I don't miss the singing. They still had all the musical cues, but one of the critiques I read is like, well, you know, it doesn't have any heart. There's no whatever. It's like, the character grows. You get to see her, and like I think it did all the things it needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It hits all the tropes.
What'd you think?
Well, I don't care for any of that female empowerment stuff.
And the one woman listening to the show has now left.
No, not because I don't like women. I thought the first one was plenty female empowering, but that's not what we talked about when it came out. We just thought it was a cool movie.
You weren't old enough to understand that.
No, we were.
Were we?
We were.
I don't think we were.
We were
really aware.
Nah, I think we were. But no, I don't. First of all, I think the problems these movies have is they have to stand up to their animated counterparts.
Yeah.
So that's what they have to get past.
It's
right?
like making a sequel to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Only
harder.
Well, I don't know. It's just different. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no, I don't see why. I mean, there's always been strong female characters. I don't see why it's that big of a deal.
Disney
now.
has always made a point of it since. I say always. I think they've made a point of it since Little Mermaid. To, like, you can track it at least from around Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Because you get, and I'm probably going to get these out of order, right? You get Little Mermaid. You get Beauty and the Beast. You get, so you have like Belle. You get Jasmine. Like, these are all 3 very strong female characters, you know. It's driven by them. It's their story in many respects, you know, Aladdin, whatever. But like, Jasmine was a very self-sustaining character, right? And then, I mean, Disney's been very aware of this for decades. And then, you know, down the road you get Mulan after that, and it's right in line with all those other stories. I
I think there's always been strong female characters, always.
I
There's-
think you're
th-
flat out wrong.
Really?
Snow White is a freaking weak character. She is the weakest.
Let's see. Let's go back. Mulan, one of the very oldest female stories ever told. The original version of Beowulf features some really strong
Now,
female
if we go straight
characters.
to our legends, right? Our
Mhm.
legends and myths and whatever, I think they're very different kinds of stories. They definitely treated women differently than the modern age has, for sure.
Nah.
No. I really think they have. I
Well,
really think they have, because it's not like Hera was waiting around for like Zeus to save her. You know, like she mad, she let him know it, right? Like there's a lot of that. Over time though, I think cultures adopted this like, "Nah, we can't really have stories of women doing that." So like things got changed.
yeah. Nah, I like a woman cinematographer because I like her cinematography. I like a female actor because I like the way she acts. I don't necessarily, I don't know. I don't go see a movie because it's directed by a woman. I also don't go see a movie because it's directed by a man. I just go see a movie because it looks interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I realize that's what everybody's talking about right now, but nah.
Yeah. Right now, we've talked a lot about this off camera, like a lot.
Yeah.
This is, there's,
And I know
assuming
it's-
anyone's listening or watching this, they're like, yeah, it's because you're white and you're privileged and you're a man.
right.
Everything caters to you. So, of course, you'd feel that way. Right?
No, I've been the minority. I understand what that's like. In the very rare instance that you get to be the minority, it's an interesting concept.
Down in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things I'm taking away from a lot of what's happening in the world right now, just trying to get people's attention to pay attention that there are perspectives other than your own. And just because you don't agree doesn't mean that those perspectives don't exist and that they don't have value in and of themselves. Doesn't mean you have to agree with someone, right? But they exist still, right? Yeah, I know it's definitely growing up. It's always been, well, yeah, no, that looks good, or I don't know about that. I think I'm just paying attention to a lot now.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are finding a voice for like, yes, I felt this for so long. This represents me. And I think that's a big part of what's happening in our moment of time right now is people feel reflected in what they're seeing being produced by popular culture.